continue with laws of Yom Tov. Now, Baruch Hashem, we finished with the introduction and we start the new first chapter. And the topic is the general principle of Yom Tov law. Okay, general principle. So chapter 1 and part number 1, section 1. So it says biblical prohibition of doing Melachah on Yom Tov. Right, so before that, in introduction, we were discussing all of the spiritual aspects of the Yom Tov. Now we're going to technicalities, right? And technicalities start with what not to do. The Torah states regarding the holy days of Yom Tov, no work may be done on them except for what must be eaten for any person. That alone may be done for you. This verse contains the basic prohibition doing work, Melachah on Yom Tov. Okay, so it's very, very important verse, and we're going to come back to this verse many, many times, right? Because one more time, we're going to see no work may be done on them. So work is Melachah, right? In Hebrew, Melachah, to be done on them. So it's not exactly work as we understand work, but Melachah is a different thing. Except for what must be eaten for any person, right? Must be eaten for any person. That alone may be done for you. Okay. So continue. The literal translation Melachah is work or labor. However, the Torah defines Melachah, Melachah does not refer to physical exertion, but to the creative activity. Anything that is halakhically regarded as creative activity falls under the category of Melachah. Even a little physical exertion is involved. So let's do this paragraph again, and we're going to explain. It's very critical to understand. And it's actually the same concept in the laws of Shabbos. Melachah is Melachah. Okay. So one more time, the literal translation Melachah is work or labor. So I mean, that's why we don't translate this word Melachah, because it's not work and it's not labor. It's not. I mean, if you must translate like in English translation, yes, but we use the word Melachah because it's very, very different. Why? We see, however, the Torah definition define it, Melachah does not refer to physical exhaustion. Right? So, for example, as we were discussing, take a pen and write 2 letters. So there is no physical exhaustion whatsoever, but this is Melachah. Right? But carry some like heavy loads, like table, let's say, like very heavy table from one room to another, which is it's not considered to be Melachah. Okay. Let's say you need this table for your guests. Okay. So it has nothing to do with physical exhaustion. Maybe yes, maybe no. But creative activities. But creation, meaning these 39 melachas are the ones that were performed in a building of base in a mishkan in the desert. That's the creation that we're talking about. So one more time, creation activity falls under the category of Melachah, even if the little physical exhaustion is involved. As we said, just write a letter or two. The Mishnah in Tractate Shabbos lists 39 primary categories of creative activities, each of which is known as the Av Melachah, literally Father Melachah. Any activity that achieved by objective similar to that of Av Melachah is called Talada, literally offspring, and likewise prohibited. For example, bleaching fabric is the Av Melachah. Laundering a garment is Talada of this Melachah. Both Av and Talada are included in Torah prohibition of Melachah. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, and we're going to explain everything. Beezrat Hashem. One more time. The Mishnah in Tractate Shabbos lists 39 primary categories of creative activity, and we actually some time ago we went over them. Yeah, in the very beginning, I think it was like in the first class we listed all of them and we explained what is applied to us. So they were not so much, but okay. Okay, 29 primary activities, categories of creative activities, each of which is known as the Av Melachah, literally father of Melachah. So Av Melachah is exactly the Melachah that was performed in the Mishkan, for constructing the Mishkan. So others like that's only similar, so they're called Talada. But anyway, this Talada Melacha is they prohibit it. Okay, we must know like what to what our activity is related, but all of them are prohibited. Any activity that achieves the objective similar to that of the Av Melacha is called Talada, like offspring. Right, so same objective, and he gives good example. For example, bleaching fabric is Av Melacha. So they would bleach the wool, right, to make it unicolor, right? Because wool comes from different sheep, right? Some of them white, some of them brown, some of them black, some of them with the spots. So you need to first to make them all universal, and then you dye them different color, right? So that's bleaching, meaning you wash them. Laundering of garment is talada of this melacha. So laundering the garment, what does it mean? Garment today means like some pliable material, right? So we're not allowed to wash. Okay, so we mean it because it resembles a garment. So continue. So the example would be like a tablecloth. Is it my garment? No, it's not my garment, but it's pliable. That's so it's under this prohibition. Continue. Both Av and the Talada are included in the Torah prohibition of the Melachah. So because it's achieve the same purpose, and all of the rabbinicals, when I say rabbinical, it means the fences that our rabbis erected for us not to come close to, in order not to transgress those. So that's two different things. Okay, so continue. There is no difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov regarding definition of Melachah. All 39 categories are defined as Melachah on Yom Tov as well on Shabbos. However, in many respects, the laws of Yom Tov are more lenient than those on Shabbos. Most notably, the Torah permits the performance of certain melachas on Yom Tov for the sake of preparing food. This will be discussed below, beginning in section 3 of this chapter. One must bear in mind, however, that since the 39 categories are defined as melacha, even on Yom Tov, they remain forbidden except the specific circumstances in which they are allowed. So, of course, we're going to Beezrat Hashem, go in all of the specific cases and see what is allowed, what is not allowed, and under which circumstances something is allowed. Okay, so let's do this paragraph. We're going to explain. There is no difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov regarding definition of melacha. So that's a big discount for us. So you learn one aspect, you know another, right? So in some senses, as in many cases, in many cases, all of these melachas that have to do with cooking, right? They're very relaxed. I mean, on Yom Tov, but there are some other things that actually the sages make stricter on Yom Tov than on Shabbos. So in order for people not to be too relaxed on Yom Tov, right? So because have to respect the Yom Tov. So let's see. However, in many respects, the laws of Yom Tov are more lenient than those on Shabbos. So basically, the main categories cooking and carrying, right? So even though there is no Erev, so carrying something that you need for Yom Tov needs. Okay. 1 second, prepare. Most notably, the Torah permits performance of certain Melachos on Yom Tov for the sake of preparing food. Continue. This will be discussed below in section 3. Okay. One must bear in mind, however, that since the 39 categories are defined as Melachah, even on Yom Tov, so meaning, what does it mean? So Melachah of cooking is a Melachah of cooking, right? So it does not change, but for the sake of the Yom Tov, they would allow on for the day itself. So meaning what? Just because you're allowed to cook, it does not mean that you're allowed to cook for the next week. So some people would cook, right? A lady would cook for the whole week, right? So soup or whatever, all of these dishes, okay, and they eat the whole week. There is no problem. Few different dishes. There is no problem, right? So she might think, okay, I'm going to cook for Yom Tov on Yom Tov. We're going on Yom Tov anyway, so let me cook for like a big pot, right? So this would not be allowed. So it is some things, even cooking is allowed for Yom Tov, but it's allowed only under specific circumstances. That's very important. That's what the author is saying. Okay. So once I define even on Yom Tov, they remain forbidden except in specific circumstances in which they are allowed. So definition of Melachah does not change.